Hi, Susan. It's good to see you
Hi, David. It's wonderful to see you again. It's been too
across the
long.
world. And
I'm in South Netherlands, close to Belgium.
we first met when you were working with Sea Shepherd.
Yeah, at that time, Sea Shepherd, it was Sea Shepherd International. So I was director of all the international group.
Hmm.
Yeah, and we were based in Friday Harbor. So yeah, we got to know each other, and of course, as activists and passionate about animal issues,
Hmm.
immediately felt immediately
Yeah, yeah.
family.
You're one
Yeah.
of the good ones. So anyway, let me just say that hello. I'm David Walligan, and welcome to Critter Literature. This is a podcast where I'm exploring how animals are portrayed in popular culture, especially as adults looking back at some of the childhood literature and movies of the time, and looking back with a critical eye about how animals are portrayed, and especially the human-animal relationship. So this week we're going to be looking at Disney's The Fox and the Hound. And joining me is Susan Hartland, as I already said, and she is the director and spokesperson for Animal Rights, which is based in Belgium and the Netherlands.
Hi, David. Yeah, I'm the director of animal rights. We operate in Netherlands and Belgium, and we are a rights organization, which means we're abolitionists. We working to stop animal agriculture, hunting, the use of animals for science, deer-proven animal testing, animals for fur, and other exploitation and use of non-human animals.
You're doing such good work. I was looking over at your website, and it's just amazing what you're doing there. It seems like the European countries are a lot further ahead than the United States in a lot of different ways. But let's talk about the Fox and the Hound that you suggested. Um, when you suggested it to me, I had fond memories of this movie because it was about a baby fox and a baby dog, and in Disney's fashion with the big eyes and the dopey expressions. I remember it fondly as them being gentle friends running through the woods. So let's just talk a little bit about the plot and then we can comment on it. So The Fox and the Hound came out as an animated film in 1981 by Walt Disney. And the basic plot is that a young fox is adopted by a kind woman named Widow Tweed. um, he befriends Copper, who is a hound puppy owned by a neighboring hunter. And as the two grow older, Copper is trained to become a hunting dog whose job is to track and kill foxes. So we can see that a conflict is already arising. Their childhood friendship becomes strained as social roles, predator and prey, hunter and hunted, take hold. In the end, they spare each other during a dangerous confrontation with a bear, but they accept that they can no longer be friends. So as I was rewatching this last night, I was shocked by how much things that you just gleaned over as a child and the inherent violence that was within the plot line. And I was wondering if you wanted to maybe just take a few ideas that you jotted down and just expand upon what you thought about the plot line and maybe some of the problematic issues that, as an adult looking back, um, you realized.
Yeah, of course. This movie stuck with me. I saw it when it first came out around 1981 when I was probably about 14, 15 or 16 years old, about 15. Um, and we sat in the middle of the theater because Fox and the Hound is a movie, Disney movie about a cute puppy and a cute fox. And I loved animals. So we went with my friend and we sat in the middle of the cinema. And it's been obviously a long time, but I just remember being extremely sad. These two animals were friends, and then because of human intervention, um, the the dog, the puppy, grows a little older and is influenced by the hunter, and decided he could no longer be friends with the fox. And from looking back from my memory, the fox didn't change. The the dog did from the human influences, and it made speaking of dogs, it really made me sad that immediately in the beginning of the film, like again, I went with the expectation as a 15-year-old that this is a cute movie. Immediately, the mother fox is shown running from dogs, and a hunter terrified, carrying her baby. She hides him and runs away only to get shot off scene. And that just broke my heart right off the bat. Uh, it's like, what kind of movie? And from then, I think in reflection, I just couldn't get over that to accept that there was anything good about what was going to happen to this poor little animal. Um, and unfortunately, I was right. I just so it's always stuck with me. And I've known a lot of hunters in my life who, of course, had lots of their skins and the heads, and it's it's always that movie is always kind of stuck with me. The behavior of the hunter, how he used the animal, how he taught this animal, the dog Copper, to that he was enemies with someone, and so it still makes me sad.
Yeah,
I rewatched it. Yeah.
and I think one of the themes is the loss of innocence, right? Because like um Todd is the little fox, and he has no idea that his childhood friend is going to become his enemy. And there's no reason for him to become his enemy, except for
No.
he's taught to become his enemy. And it's interesting when he's taken away with the hunter to go away for the season to go out and drive prey, and the first scene. And the shocking thing to me about the Disney movies is that there's so much violence that
So much.
I
Hmm.
just look back and go, I don't know how I forgot about that. But the very first scene of Copper kind of like attaching himself to the hunting dog identification is that he flushes out the pheasants, and then immediately the hunter shoots them out of the sky and they all die. And it's like, how did I, as a little kid, not I think it did register. I think that but we just accepted that that was the truth of the situation.
Yeah, I think when I looked back on it before I rewatched it, I thought, there's something inherently wrong and sad about it, but you don't quite know what, because back in the early 90s, we didn't hear much about hunting other than it was necessary. Of course, I was in Georgia. We just moved to Georgia at the time, so of course we got to know some hunters, and yeah, all the propaganda. But yeah, you don't really know what's specifically what's wrong, but you just know. I just knew this is not right. This is sad. This was heartbreaking from the beginning that they were chasing this poor mother and her baby, and they basically shot the mother and left the baby to die.
Mhm,
Only at the for the mercy of these other animals that took pity upon her, the other species,
mhm,
where they would normally be prey for a fox, but they
mhm.
took pity upon this baby to take care of it, and brought it to this person. So to me, it showed the influence of humans was the negative.
Yeah,
But at the
and
yeah,
one of the things that I took away was like, so there's an owl named Mama, Big Mama,
Big Mama.
and she is voiced by Pearl Bailey, which anybody that grew up in the 70s and 80s knows who Pearl Bailey is. And she has this line that says education or eradication. And
A little song she
there's a
sings.
little
Yeah.
song that she sings about it. And she's basically telling the fox, trying to convince him that you need to look out because your best friend is going to end up wanting to kill you in the end. And it's just so interesting that she's the mother figure, and she's just trying to give him some logical advice. Like, this is
The
not what you
reality of
really think it is. And
what's
she
gonna happen. Yeah.
and it's shocking. At one point, she opens the shed and you see the pelts of all these other foxes and raccoons and things like that. And poor Todd, who's the baby fox, sees all these dead remains of other foxes just like him. And he has to go through this period of transition where he realizes that his best friend is not going to be his best friend anymore. So it's like sort of this inevitability of violence, like this is just how the
He
world works.
doesn't want to believe it though. He doesn't want to believe that his friend would turn against him. He's like, we're always going to be best friends. He doesn't. That he struggles to believe that his friend would turn against him and hunt him, and that is, yeah, that again is very sad. None of us want to believe we're friends. When you're kids, you've got your best friend and you're playing in your playground, and you would never think that friend would turn against you and try to murder you.
And I also think it goes back to social norms. It's like the fox is going to be the hunted and the dog is going to be the hunter. And there's no questioning that. There's no like, that is just the inevitability of the whole situation. And that's what I find really disturbing because even in the end, when Todd sees um, Copper, the dog, come back, and now Copper's an older dog and he's been hunting for a whole season, there's an epic scene where a bear comes and is threatening both of them, and they both work together to save themselves.
Yeah,
But
the bear comes after the hunter. The hunter falls into his own leg hole trap.
that's right.
Gotta love that.
Yeah.
Um,
A little
and
irony
then
going on there.
right, and then uh, Copper is trying to protect him, and Todd is running for his life from the hunter, but he still turns around to help his friend. And up until that point, his the Copper was still when there was an incident with the other dog, Chief, I think.
Mhm.
He fell off the railroad tracks,
Yes,
and
yes.
Copper was like, "I'm gonna get you for this,"
Yeah, Chief is the older dog that he's sort of learning the trade of hunting from.
and um and Copper is still, I'm going to get you for this. He blames him for this, and he's still chasing Copper to his ultimate death, and only defends him after Todd comes back and protects him. And this hunter, Todd, to me, is the one who didn't change. He's the one who the wild animal per se, who was raised kindly, with a lot of different influences from the birds, the owl, the woman who treated him kindly, who let him be himself, was the one who didn't change. He still went to protect his friend, even though his friend was going to kill him.
Hmm.
And only then did Copper show any mercy, and the hunter show any mercy is when it because it benefited them. There's so many issues.
There's
I
so
just
many issues here because, like, basically, I've jotted down a few ideas. This is a children's movie. Let's just make that clear. This is rated G. And maybe it was different back then, but we're asking children to grieve the loss of a friendship that they've probably never had this experience in their life. They're young enough that they have had only best friends because when you're a little kid, everybody's your best friend. And they're asking us to accept the fact that some friends are not going to be your friends anymore just because of societal norms. And I think that's so damaging to a young kid who's just trying to make their way through life. And it's just so bizarre that a lot of these Disney films are based upon this. Bambi, you
yeah.
just accept that the parents got killed by hunters. Like, it just is very bizarre that it's a norm that this is sort of the emotional arc of a lot of Disney films.
If someone is different from you, you can't be friends. The different species can't be friends, which of course we all know is not uh, the case. Um,
Mhm. And it
and
just
I
and it's just it's accepted. It's not questioned, it's accepted. And even with the owl and all the little woodland creatures that are trying to prop up Todd and say, Todd, you're not going to be safe anymore when Copper comes home. He still doesn't believe it, but all of them just accept this as truth.
and also one thing I want to point out is a little bit of the misogyny in this. The hunter goes after the woman, talking about, oh, you woman, you when he's shooting at the back of her car, trying to hit, and she stops. He's like, "Oh, woman, you don't know," and yeah, he really talks down to her and bullies her. That was
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of that. I wasn't even going to go into that, but there's a lot of that. Like she's basically taking in this little baby to raise as her own, puts a collar around his neck. I mean, that's problematic anyway. But anyway, like basically says, I'm going to be the kind person in the place that you land, and she ends up abandoning him in the woods because it would be better off for him because she's not going to fight back against the hunter. And so the widow Tweed is like she tries to do her best, but she is the kindly old woman, and the hunter is going to be the dominant force. And that's Yeah, we could go on and on about that,
Yeah.
but um,
It, I think it again goes back to what you were talking about, societal norms, what we thought was expected, that this, this rough tumble hunter he's going to tell her what's going on. He's going to, treat the animals the way he wants to. He's going to kill. Um, and that was expected. That, and as you pointed out, it's a child's movie.
yes.
They're totally setting up that this is how we need to behave.
And it seems like there's a early on there's an empathy created with Copper and Todd, the fox and the hound, because they're so cute and so little, and we immediately create empathy for both of their situations. And we go, oh, they both are so cute and so willing to be the symbol of innocence. And then at the end, we just have to accept the fact that Copper the dog is going to be this violent creature, which it doesn't have to be in real life, and it doesn't happen in real life um, necessarily. And it just sort
Nature
of
is
and it
naturalistic.
normalizes the violence kind of like within human animal relationships. It's like the hunter basically is just like, this is how it is. We hunt. And
Yeah, he puts his dogs outside. They live on a rope, in a barrel,
in a
basically.
barrel
Yeah, and
in the middle of
they're
winter.
yeah they're used their tool for his hunting. Uh, yeah, he treats them only slightly better than the animals he kills.
Exactly. And it's just sort of like this interesting as an adult looking back and seeing all these undertones of the thematic undertones. It's curious to me how we forget, how we just
We how we process it at the young age. Like I said, I knew it was sad and something wasn't right, but you just can't put your finger on it because there was at that time there's no other information out there. You just kind of walk away and you're like, man, I just left with a bad feeling, but I don't know what to do with it, and I don't. Yeah, you just don't know how to process it.
Mhm.
And like I said, how many kids go through that and it impacts them, or they just, like I said, they just accept it as a norm.
Yeah.
For me, I remember it just left me sad and a little bit angry.
Hmm.
Um, and that's always stuck with me. And rewatching it, I rewatched it last night, and even as an adult, I struggled to watch it. I struggled because of the themes, because um, like I said, the loss of innocence of these animals, just the blatant killing, the unrepentant just killing, the piles of animals skins that the hunter has in his truck at the end of the season. Um, that I thought the wild animal didn't change. He still had it. He still had his heart. He was still who he was, and the one who was influenced negatively by the humans
Hmm.
was the one who changed for the worse and became a worse person.
Yeah.
I really had a hard time rewatching it.
Yeah. I did
And
too.
even
I did too. And then like thinking that this was entertainment. For
at the
for I was
time
I
for
was probably
kids.
I was probably 12 or 14, or I was a little, I think we're about the same age, and it was entertainment for us. And
Mhm.
I remember being very perplexed because like I thought that the natural world were all my friends and like we just all coexisted. And I think that loss of innocence happens with all of us. We just don't really realize it within society. And so it just becomes normalized, and we also just kind of go, we don't question it. And so seeing it as an adult and looking back, you kind of go, this would not fly today, or maybe it would fly, but it would be definitely not a G-rated movie with such violence and so much infliction of, and I'm not trying to be dramatic, but it's the infliction of pain upon another creature that's totally innocent.
It would be questioned, I think, but to your point, and to the wonderful uh platform for critter literature is how did it impact us? Can I see that it made a difference? I think early on, yes. Obviously now I'm I'm an activist. Um, but it's these little bits that some of us take away, teaching that to children, that certain animals are your pets, but you can treat them however you want, and you're their master,
Mhm.
and some are vermin. And even the woman who takes them in,
The widow
you know,
Tweed.
Widow Tweed, yeah, she's kind of a typical Disney character with her little hood and everything.
Mhm, mhm.
But again, she's kind to him, but she has her cow and she's milking her cow, but where there's no calf anywhere. And then when Tod starts a little commotion, she's like, "Look what you've done! You spilled my milk." I'm like,
Mhm.
well, okay, not really yours,
Yeah.
but again, just looking through a different lens, there's so many issues. The other underlying little storyline I thought was a little disingenuous and maybe trying to prove the point that hunting was natural, was that the two birds were trying to catch this little caterpillar that lived in the tree.
Yep.
And so in their way they were hunting him, but of course it's completely different issues. But to me, looking at it again as an adult, I think, yeah, he's trying to show that, oh, everyone hunts and it's okay. It's just
Mhm.
part of life, and we all need it to survive, and that's just simply not the case. But when push came to shove, the animals got behind the one in need and tried to help him.
And did you notice that the caterpillar, after like living through all of this torment, she becomes a butterfly and flies
Hmm.
away. And I was like,
Yep.
okay, well, this is a moment of enlightenment that like this little grub caterpillar turns into a beautiful butterfly and flies away.
As a
And
new life. Yeah. Hmm.
and it's so random almost within the context of what's going on with the rest of the movie. And it's played for comedy, the whole chase of the caterpillar from the two birds. And then it was interesting to see that in the very end, the hunter and Widow Tweed end up hooking up in the end. Which is so random. It's like so not makes any sense as far as like their lives are so different and she
They're
had so much protection over the baby fox and then all of a sudden she's just gonna hook up with the hunter. I mean,
he's shooting at the back of her car and threatening her, and then all of a sudden, yeah, it's
it
okay because
it's very dysfunctional.
so yeah, and we're rewatching it as an adult. There's so many other things, and I think that's a theme with Disney movies, and I think this is something that's going to be amazing. I'm going to keep watching your YouTube on your critter literature to really explore why,
Yeah.
why make this movie? Like what was the point?
It's a really odd choice and it's sort of Disney has a wide collection of Dumbo, the mom is ripped away from the baby, and the baby has to prove himself by flying and like those giant ears, and Bambi,
Yeah.
has to persevere through the forest fires and the hunters, and I mean there is like a glut of kind of sadistic. Is that the wrong word? But it
No,
is.
it is this wildlife, these babies have to prove themselves or have to fight for their lives, literally against human intervention or exploitation.
Mhm.
Yeah, Dumbo was of no value until he could fly and
Mhm.
bring in the crowds and the money.
Yeah.
um,
And
and
I
they're all
also
taken away from their parents, which is really an interesting theme. Their parents are either killed or they're separated from them, which is an interesting Disney theme.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, it's horrifying.
For family-friendly entertainment.
Hmm.
Well, let's kind of wrap this up a little bit. I just want to thank you so much, Susan. We've been friends for a very long time, and I am so excited that you decided to join me from across the world. And it just makes me feel connected with the rest of my people. And yeah, I would just enthusiastically like um say to people that if you are interested, message me. I will be on Substack, and I think I'll put this on my YouTube channel and just send in suggestions, send in ideas. And I think this is like sort of it's a very light lift discuss very heavy issues.
It's a great idea. And thank you so much for having this conversation with me and bringing this up. It's a wonderful idea, and wish you the most success. And always love following all of your endeavors.
Yeah.
But it was really interesting, really thinking back about this and the impact that all of these books and shows that made an impact on us as children, and how we've grown and learned. So thank you so much for spending the time to talk to me about this.
All right. Well, I'm gonna
Great to see you, David, and
I'm
thank you so
gonna
much.
say thank you so much, and stay on the line because I want to talk to you. But we're gonna stop recording, and thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next month when we do the next podcast. Thank you.